30, 35 down the sidelines to the 40, makes a move to the 45, to 50, he's to the 40, he could go, he's to the 25, to 20, they dive at him, they miss him, he's in the end zone, touchdown!
Throws off his back foot, wide open man in the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown!
Launches the throw down toward the goal line, going up, ball tipped in the air, caught, touchdown!
Reverses his field, got a block from Pittman, going deep, got a man in the end zone, touchdown!
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that. Everybody watching tonight.
And now it's the Undefined Blitz with Chad and JC.
Yo, welcome everybody once again to the Undefined Blitz right here on undefinedradio.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in as we get you ready, as always, for the football season, preseason, week 1. We've had football games.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been fun to watch.
They were meaningless.
Very meaningless.
There's
as far as the win-losses go.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that you can really take away from, especially these week 1 games, because most starters didn't play. However,
yes, there are some good howevers.
It's just the fact that there's football.
That's right.
That in and of itself is enough to get you pumped up, get you excited.
Pro foosball, baby. I love it.
Oh, and the preseason top 25 poll for college football.
Oh, we got to talk about that too. We will talk about that, by the way, because there's stuff to talk about, stuff to do. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to see what, and that's the thing about preseason. The people who start talking about wins and losses in preseason are stupid and they make me sick.
Yeah. But the Ravens, it just means more to them. They are now 24 straight wins in the preseason. The last time the Baltimore Ravens lost a preseason football game, Barack Obama was president of the United States of America.
Good Lord.
That's how long ago it's been.
And what's that equated for them? Let's see.
7 years? 7
years? Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Now, only if their regular season would turn out so well.
And, hey, a lot of them have worked out very well for them.
So they've had, there's been some funny stuff, really.
I mean, speaking of that Baltimore Ravens game, did you see what happened going into halftime there?
No, I did not.
Justin Tucker casually strolls out to midfield and boots a 60-yard field goal.
He's like, dude, I just got to give him a kick in.
To make it a 3-point game going into half. You could tell they were trying to get closer. And Josh Johnson was running the offense for the Ravens. And it was, I don't want to say it was ugly, but it did look bad at times.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ball carriers for Baltimore just weren't heady. Like, you know the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know the situation. You're running a 2-minute drill with no timeouts.
Yeah.
Like, get out of bounds.
That's
and
right.
they weren't. So Josh Johnson was frustrated, but he's the one who kept throwing the ball to the middle of the field. So
and there you go too.
So they get him down there, and they eventually got out of bounds with just a few seconds left, and Justin Tucker and the field goal unit ran out onto the field, and he just casually booted a 60-yarder. Oh, and of course, because it's Justin Tucker, it was right down the middle from 60 yards.
Like nothing.
Like, it wasn't even a question of if it was going to be accurate.
All these other teams are struggling, right, to find a quarterback. He's just out, the kicker, and he's just out there going, think, think.
Yeah, from 60.
From 60.
You know?
Oh, yeah, my leg still works.
And, of course,
that's good.
After he hits it, he kind of hits the Michael Jordan shrug. Just we all knew I was going to do that.
That was good.
You know? It's like, man, Justin Tucker is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day.
Oh, no doubt. He's got to.
Without question.
I just love the Cowboy news, though, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Speaking of that, I did get to watch finally Sunday afternoon. I finally watched the Cowboys and the Jags. I know that game happened Saturday, but it shows all weekend. But I got to sit down and watch it. And, I love Deuce Vaughn is a player.
Incredible.
This kid's a player.
But it also helps that he's 5'0", so he can just hide behind all those big bodies on the line, and he can find the crease.
But his
and
boost,
go.
His acceleration, and his vision, I'm like, this kid can play. But look,
Deuce Vaughn is the reason that Kansas State had as much success as they did
no
last
doubt.
year, including winning a Big 12 championship in that stadium at AT&T Stadium.
This dude, but the most impressive thing he did was the grab after he had broke off the long run. When Will Greer dumped that pass off to him, it was real high, and he had to leap up in the air to grab it. I thought that was one of the most impressive things.
Well, Will Greer also overthrew him on another pass that Deuce Vaughn tried to catch one-handed, and it bounced off his hands and got picked off.
Well, there's that. But again,
and I don't think that the throw is necessarily a bad throw. I think the problem again is that Deuce Vaughn 5'5".
Yeah, and Will Greer's used to putting the ball in a certain place.
Absolutely.
Okay, this guy's a little tinier than I'm used to.
And Will Greer did not have a bad game.
No, he didn't.
199
Looked
yards,
pretty good.
2 touchdowns, and the aforementioned interception.
Yeah, he looked like he was in pretty good control out there.
I was really impressed by that John Stevens Jr. kid.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. 5 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown on the day for him.
Where did that dude come from? Because he's what, 6'6"?
Yeah, he's huge.
I mean, that's a big guy.
Now, they have him listed as a wide receiver. Pretty sure he's a tight end. Because every time I saw him line up, he was in line.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a tight end.
And he's wearing number 49.
Because they've got guys at the wide receiver position right now who are showing out a little bit.
Simi Fehoko actually had a couple of nice catches in this game.
Yes, he did.
Which is weird because everything I've seen from him at training camp has been him dropping passes that go flying in there and get picked off by the secondary.
What's that kid's name? Oh, jeez.
Which one? Jalen Tolbert?
Yeah, Jalen Tolbert.
Last year's 3rd-round pick.
He had a great game.
He did.
Man, but he's looked good all training camp now.
I saw my boy Dontario Drummond out on the field. Yep. I didn't see him do anything, but he was out there.
Look, I mentioned this before the show, but Overshown was great. This kid growing up in Texas becoming
that's DeMarvion Overshown.
That's right, DeMarvion.
Linebacker out of the University of Texas.
That's right. Just being able to live his dream and then go out there and play like he did, he was everywhere. He was all over the field, dude.
Led the team in breaking down the huddle before the game, was hyping up the team to take the field. That's pretty impressive to see, especially from a rookie playing his first professional football game.
Yeah, I think their linebacker depth just got significantly deeper.
Between Overshown, Parsons, Van Der Esch, Damone Clark,
yes,
Jabril
Damone
Cox.
Clark was another one showed out.
So all of a sudden that went from a weakness on that team to being one of their stronger groups pretty quick.
Yeah, it was fun. So I was like, well, good Lord, look at them just flying to the ball. And not only that, but
which is also the
play
way
recognition.
Yeah, that's
what I was worried about with Overshown more than anything. And dude was constantly, because he's got the skills to play.
Yeah, but now he's also got arguably the best D coordinator in the game.
Oh, no doubt.
Coaching him.
And we talked about that months ago about it. If with Dan Quinn, if you can't learn under Dan Quinn,
you can't learn.
You just can't. You're done. And boy, it got me excited watching those plays and those specific players. Actually, it was good. And then our safety showed out, picking off Trevor Lawrence, the first team. Dallas didn't play their first team offense. Jacksonville did. And that first drive did not work out well for Jacksonville.
And Dallas didn't play their first string defense.
No, they did not.
Which Calvin Ridley feasted upon.
Yes.
Calvin Ridley looked great in this game.
Oh, he did. He really did.
He showed out.
But if it wasn't for a couple of turnovers by Dallas.
But I think it's impressive, staying on Ridley for a second, is the fact that he hadn't played football in, a year and a half?
It's been a while.
Year and a half, 2 years.
So good to see him back in there, though.
And didn't miss a beat.
No, he did not. It's just be excited. Well, the closer we get to the foosball season. But I tell you what, though, that stupid quarterback for Jacksonville, the one who came from the CFL, when 18 Cowboys even came off the bench to try to tackle him, still nobody could bring him down. He still completes a touchdown pass. Holy crap. That was brilliant. Talking about determination. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, can we have you? You come to our team.
Maybe.
I mean, geez.
Yeah,
he did. It was impressive.
I'm trying to find out a little bit more about Nathan Rourke here. 6'1", 210, went to Ohio. That's where he played college ball. And I don't see his other professional stats on here. But 9 of 17 in the game, 153 yards, touchdown. Completion percentage was not great. It was 52.9. But he had a rating of 103.3, which is solid. Oh, so the Saints game, right? The Saints played the Chiefs. And the Saints won it by hitting a walk-off field goal. I'm trying to think of the kid's name. I think his name is Soup. That's his last name, the kicker for New Orleans. Let's see if I can find him real fast. Well, no, that's just showing last year's players.
All right.
But anywho, so this Soup kid, he goes before the game. He goes to get on the field to do warm-ups. Security stopped him and told him that he didn't have his press credentials. He couldn't get out on the field.
Press credentials? Dude, I'm a kicker.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
When you see a picture of this guy, you'll understand why.
Gotcha.
He looks nothing like a guy that should be playing professional football.
Dude, I'm a kicker.
And so they wouldn't let him on the field. Somebody found him and was like, hey, come on, get out here. And they're like, oh, sorry. So he goes out there, he plays the game. He hits the game-winning field goal as time expires to walk it off. You know, he's out there celebrating on the team or with the team. And because he's in uniform, of course, they let him come back in. He gets dressed in the locker room, and then he tries to leave the arena through the team exit.
Yeah.
Get stopped by security again. They wouldn't let him leave through the team
Dude,
exit.
I'm the kicker. I just kicked the winning field goal.
He had a wild day at the office.
That's funny, though. It's pretty funny. What the hell?
They thought he was a fan when he went to leave. They thought he was in the press on his way in, thought he was a fan on the way out. Okay, I said his last name was Soup. I lied. His name is Group.
Group?
Or Groupe. I don't know how. It's Grupe.
Yeah, it gotta be Groupe.
Yeah, Blake Group. And he's so unassuming looking. It's hilarious.
Dang, that's pretty cool. Trey Lance didn't have a good day.
It's weird. Like, you can't look at the stat line for Trey Lance because the stat line's not bad.
Yeah.
But he got sacked 4 times, and he looked confused and scared half the time. Rough day for the former number 3 overall pick?
That's right.
Number 2? Oh, no, it's number 3. Yeah, not a good look for the 49ers. I mean, granted, they have Brock Purdy to fall back on if need be. Sam Darnold looked all right for the 49ers. But old Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders, their backup quarterback looked really good. 6'3", 210, rookie out of Purdue. He was a 4th-round draft pick this year. He was 15 of 18 for 141 yards and a touchdown. He had a rating of 117.8, completion percentage 83.3%. His longest pass of the game went for 21 yards.
Jeez.
But you know the weird thing about Aiden O'Connell, man, when he's in his uniform, he's wearing number 4, playing for the Raiders. When he's in his uniform, he looks like Derek Carr.
That's funny.
He looks just like Derek Carr.
That is pretty funny, right? I can't be the only one who thinks that.
The Chargers just dumped all over the Rams in the Battle of Los Angeles the other night. But a lot of rookies got a lot of play in this game. I mean, granted, like a third of the Rams roster is rookies. But Stetson Bennett played. He actually was at one point dueling against Max Duggan. It was like the national championship game all over again.
How'd Stetson do?
Stetson had 191 yards and a touchdown there. 17 of 29. Big difference there. 191 yards, a touchdown. Longest pass was 34 yards. Had a rating of 89.9, a completion percentage of 58.6. So not overwhelming, but it wasn't bad. He came in on the Rams' 4th possession, and he played the rest of the way after that. And granted, he started the game with 3 straight incompletions.
Dang.
But he ended up doing all right there for the Rams. Of course, you can't look too much into it because if you can't look too much into week 1 of the regular season, you certainly can't look too much into week 1 of the preseason.
Oh, exactly.
But I would wager that as of right now, he's probably the in-house favorite to be Matt Stafford's backup this year.
How is our boy Richardson doing out in Indy?
Oh, Anthony Richardson. So he showed why I don't like him. So
when I saw the pass and the overthrow and the interception, I was like, huh.
You know, what, 6'4", 6'5",
Yes.
245. Like, he's huge. He's massive. He can run fast. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's got everything physically that you want from a quarterback, but his decision making is terrible. The interception that Chad was talking about, he sees his receiver and he sees his receivers covered, and he tried to improvise because he was about to get lit up.
Yeah.
And so he goes off balance, fade away, like a throw that his arm talent he could have gotten away with in college. It showed why every bit of your mechanics matters in the NFL.
Exactly.
Because he just threw a laser beam right to a defender. So I don't want to say it was just a rough day at the office for Anthony Richardson. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but hopefully he will definitely get better as it goes along there.
I hope.
But hey, I mean, you remember how bad Peyton was to start his career in Indy.
Yes.
So
he was on struggle bus. Troy Aikman was the same way.
Yeah, you got to take it all with a grain of salt.
There's a struggle bus happening.
I mean, the Cowboys only won one game.
Yes.
Peyton or
Troy's
rookie season.
It was off.
But it got him Michael Irvin, so it worked out.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about the Chicago Bears-Titans game off air.
Yes.
So Justin Fields comes out. He completes 3 throws in this game. He only throws the ball 3 times, but all 3 were completions. He ends up with like 120 yards and 2 touchdowns on 3 passes. And that's because all 3 passes were screen passes. He had -6 air yards for the game. But 2 of those 3 screen passes got housed. One by DJ Moore was a 62-yarder, and then I forget the other guy who had the other one, but it was like a 47-yarder. Roshan Johnson looked pretty good in this game too.
Did he?
Yeah, backing up, playing as the backup. It was Khalil Herbert had the other screen pass touchdown from Justin Fields. But yeah, Roshan Johnson, 12 carries for 44 yards. I mean, not great, not overwhelming, but solid. Showed that he could play. And then, of course, the Titans rolled out Malik Willis and the other kid, the one out of Kentucky, Will Levis. They played them, and while it wasn't a great day for Malik Willis, it was so much worse for Will Levis.
Oops.
Not the kind of day that you want to have, especially when you're making your debut. Yes, it's the preseason. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, the same thing can be said about the Texans. Like, the Texans won 20-9 over the Patriots, but C.J. Stroud struggled mightily.
Yeah, he did. He did not look good.
And I'm a pretty big C.J. Stroud fan, but Davis Mills had the much better performance. Stroud was 2 of 4 for 13 yards, rushed twice for 6 yards, and got sacked. Davis Mills, he was 9 of 12 for 99 yards and kind of balanced out the offense. And he got the other rookie wide receiver, Tank Dell, involved in the game, got him his first NFL touchdown. Let's see here. Trying to think of some other like special kind of things that happened. Drew Lock looked pretty good for Seattle against the Vikings.
Yeah.
He had 2 touchdown passes, 191 yards. He did throw an interception, though. Just put the disclaimer. I think the big story coming out of that Patriots-Texans game was Malik Cunningham. So he's technically on the roster as a quarterback, but he plays wide receiver as well. So he did a little bit of both in that game. He also carried the ball as a rusher. Scored a rushing touchdown. I think he was the only touchdown the Patriots scored was Malik Cunningham. That was in the 4th quarter. But it shows that they might have a guy who can do a little something there for them. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the former UCLA quarterback, played for the Browns. course, they got the win last week against the Jets in the Hall of Fame game. He played really well in that. He played well again this week against the Commanders, although the Commanders did escape with the win. But it was good to see. Russell Wilson threw a touchdown pass for the Broncos, although they lost narrowly to the Cardinals, who took that thing in the fourth quarter. DeMar Hamlin, seeing him back on the field with the Bills, though.
Yeah.
That was cool. He had a crucial third down stop where he blitzed from the safety position, came down. They tried to bounce a run. They were really trying to run a dive. It got clogged up at the line. DeMar kind of came around the line and pulled him down laterally to prevent him from getting that first down. So DeMar Hamlin, you remember last year, everybody, he, of course, is the one who, for all lack of a better term, he died on the field.
Yes.
He died on the field. He was resuscitated, taken to the hospital. His season was over. But that man literally died and came back to playing football before Michael Thomas did.
Isn't that crazy? How nuts is that?
But, that's what Michael Thomas
wild,
does. He
dude.
just doesn't play football. He's made so much money being injured. It's
Yep.
like Sam Bradford.
Really?
You know?
That just boggles the mind.
It's absolutely insane. Jalen Carter. The much talked about Jalen Carter, the rookie defensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
We're all familiar with his offseason that he had. It was wild, to say the least. It was the high of being a national champion, the tragedy of having a staffer and a teammate killed, court dates, the combine, falling a little bit in the draft, the Eagles trading up to come get him. His very first snap against the Ravens, he got a quarterback hit registered. He got his hands all over Josh Johnson with the quickness. Josh Johnson managed to barely get the ball out of his hands before his knees hit the ground.
Jeez.
So, Jalen Carter, going to be a problem. Of course,
Yep.
he's teamed up again with his former Georgia defensive line mate, the Davis kid, Jordan Davis. So Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, they're massive. Like, these dudes are both like 6'6", 6'7", 300-plus pound mammoths playing defensive tackle. The Eagles' interior defense, who lost a lot of pieces this offseason, has added really key pieces over the last 2 years, and they're going to continue to be a problem.
Yep, they're going to be tough. Looks like Zach Martin got a new deal.
But wait, they told me that wasn't going to be a thing.
We ain't discussing that. Cowboys. But here we are, 21 days later, something like that.
Yeah. Basically, if Jerry Jones says anything, I know you guys are going to take it and run with it. Just maybe don't listen to him.
That's right.
Because he's going to lie to you every chance he gets. So Zach Martin got a deal worked out. He was scheduled to make $13.5 million this year and $14 million in base salary with a roster bonus next year. And while his new deal is yet to be signed, Zach Martin is expected to fly to California shortly. The Cowboys and their all-pro guard reached an agreement on a reworked contract that will pay him north of $18 million each of the next 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Both years are fully guaranteed, by the way.
Good
Zach
job,
Martin
Zach.
posted on social media today. He just said, quote unquote, back to work.
This is true. This is true. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, he definitely has earned that money.
This is a 6-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
We're talking about not a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro.
Yeah. And if you factor in the Pro Bowl selections, he has more Pro Bowls made in his career than he has holding calls against him. And he's 33. It's not like he's a spring chicken. He's
That's
been in the
right.
league a long time.
Exactly. That's incredible.
So we'll see how this contract will impact Micah Parsons' negotiations next offseason.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Parsons is going to get paid.
Well, Parsons is also going to get that that fifth-year option picked up.
He is, no doubt.
So it will buy the Cowboys an extra year, but, I mean, they're going to get something.
Oh, yeah. They'll
Worked
get a
out
long
soon.
contract for him, but Yeah, they just have to figure out the semantics of the money and way to disperse it out there.
But at least we don't have to worry about Josh Ball playing right guard for the Cowboys.
Thank God.
So
Thank God.
we will gladly take that.
That's right. And usually this is part of the show. We start running down the games for this coming week, but there's really no point because they are meaningless.
Right.
But just check your team out, see who they're playing. I think who are the Cowboys playing this week? I didn't even look. I kind of did the other day, but I'll watch and see because I'm just seeing who's going to get a little more playing time this week because there's only 3 preseason games now.
Right. So the Cowboys will have the Seahawks in Seattle.
Because they're out there in Oxnard anyway, so they'll be up on that coast, head on up north a little bit.
That's typically what they do. They play a game at home, and then they get one of those West Coast teams.
That's right.
Whether it be the Rams, the Chargers, maybe the Cardinals, or Seattle, San Francisco, something like that.
But we do have college football to talk about.
Dude.
I think because we've got the top 25 is out.
Yeah. The preseason top 25.
Preseason top 25, which I love because it changes so much so quickly. Usually by week 2, 3, it's really drastically changing.
Oh, absolutely.
And start settling in. Well, we're going to go down through here. And I'm going to just get your thoughts on some of these when we do this. Because there's some shockers, maybe, on here. I was kind of shocked by a couple of them, or maybe where they're at on here, maybe the better thing. Number 1 should be no surprise to anybody, Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, they're working on a 3-peat, for God's sake.
That's right. So, and they are still scary.
You know what's really surprising to me is that Georgia is the first team in the college football playoff era to win back-to-back national titles.
Oh, that's true.
They're not the first team to win 2, but they're the first team to win back-to-back.
Yeah.
Like, I just assumed at some point
Bama had done it.
You know, I knew Clemson won a couple national titles, but I knew they didn't do that back-to-back. But for some reason, it just felt like Alabama had already done this.
We're used to Bama winning all the time anyway. And usually that's the game they lose.
And Alabama will
now they've been back-to-back.
Although I think
they just haven't won them.
I think they went to 3 of them.
That's right. They just lost the middle one.
Yeah.
Michigan Wolverines at number 2.
It's no surprise. I mean, they really dominated all their competition last year. They just had a weird game against TCU in the college football playoff last year.
Yeah.
Just a weird thing that happened. Great game. Just didn't go their way.
Number 3, Ohio State.
Ohio State, if you talk to most people, they will tell you that the real national title game last year was Georgia-Ohio State in the first round of the college football playoff. Ohio State's a team that has to be reckoned with, but they're going to have to go through Michigan to get there. And it didn't work out very well with them last season. They still managed to get into the playoff, but both Big Ten schools were out after the first round.
Number 4, Alabama.
Not a shocker. Absolutely still the best team in the SEC West. I guess this is the last year we get to say that.
And what about number 5, LSU?
It feels weird, but it's not. Like, LSU had a rough stretch early in the season, but once they got it figured out, they were firing on all cylinders and were as good as any team in the country the rest of the way.
Number 6, USC.
Well, they still have Caleb Williams. He's still going to keep them contending. Maybe USC grabs a Pac-12 title on the way out the door.
And what about number 7? We got Penn State.
I'm sick of getting caught up in the Penn State hype. I've wanted to believe every year that James Franklin's been the head coach of Penn State.
Yeah.
You know, this is the season they're going to upset Ohio State. They're going to beat Michigan. They're really going to do it, and it never happens.
Number 8, Florida State.
I absolutely love this one. Florida State seems like they're trending in the right way. Mike Norvell has that team really rearing and ready to go. I think Florida State was 10-3 last year.
I think so.
They opened the season with a great win over LSU. So I look for Florida State to do more of the same. Maybe they ultimately end up representing the ACC, but they still have to deal with Clemson.
Clemson is number 9.
It feels like Clemson fell off after Trevor Lawrence left.
It does.
Like all of a sudden they used to be top 3 all the time, every week, and then they have just you don't hear people talking about them. Definitely don't talk about them with the same level of respect.
No. And running out the top 10, Washington Huskies.
This is the unknown for me. I didn't keep a close eye on Washington last year. Do you have their last season record in front of you?
11-2.
11-2. Well, they're because here's the weird thing with Washington. I know I'm looking a year ahead when I'm about to say this, but next year they go into the Big Ten with Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them being better than 7-5 there at the absolute best. And I don't think Washington is as good as USC. I even think if they went head-to-head against Utah still beats them. I think Oregon would still beat them. And I know Washington's ranked higher than Oregon right here. So I'm not buying into that one.
Number 11, the Texas Longhorns.
So this is the one, right?
Yep.
This is the one that's got everybody kind of talking in circles because they're the favorites to win the Big 12.
Yep.
They're going to the SEC next year
alongside
Oklahoma. Everyone says this is Texas's year. If that Big 12 title belongs to anyone, it's the Longhorns. They have all the talent in the world to do it.
They do. They're a stacked football team.
And they've been a stacked football team
for a while.
Really for the last 6-7 years.
That's right.
And they have never once put it together. But Steve Sarkisian has come on the record this year and said, this finally feels like my team.
Yeah.
It's the guys that I've recruited, the guys that I've brought in, I've put into place, and they're all making plays. And by all indications, they're looking really good. The recruiting trail is still working out very well for Texas, so it looks like the future is bright for the Longhorns.
If Quinn Ewers, in the second full year quarterbacking, can get some consistency, because he had moments of brilliance last year, followed by moments of what am I watching?
Absolutely, yeah.
If he can be consistent, Texas will be deadly.
They will, and then Quinn will be out the door, and Arch Manning will take over.
That's correct.
So it's going to be interesting down there in Austin. But, yeah, I think Texas wins the Big 12 title and finishes in at least the top 6 at the end of the year.
Number 12, Tennessee.
The fake UT. From the real UT to the fake UT.
is correct.
Everyone is ranting and raving about Joe Milton, their stud quarterback. Got an absolute cannon for an arm.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they say he can throw the ball 90 yards in the air.
That's stupid.
It's dumb.
That's just dumb.
Now, it's impractical. You will never do that in a football game.
But to know that you can put air from any position and where it's in range.
People are ranting and raving about that. I'm worried about what Tennessee has at wide receiver. Granted, I don't know. I haven't looked at Tennessee's roster. But I know that they are losing Jalen Hyatt, who's now with the New York Giants. I know that they've lost Cedric Tillman, who's now with the Cleveland Browns. So there's a lot to replace there for the Volunteers. But they also still have to go through some team called the Georgia Bulldogs, and I don't think it's impossible that they could have similar success to last season.
Yeah.
But I don't see them beating Georgia.
Number 13 is Notre Dame.
I don't care about that. We do this every year.
Every year, I know.
Every year. It's Notre Dame. They're in the top 25. They're in the top 10. They're in the top 5. They're going to win the national title because it's Notre Dame. And then what happens? They fall on their faces year in and year out. I'm tired of talking about the Fighting Irish.
Utah Utes at number 14.
Big believer in the Utes, man. Like, not necessarily the most talented team.
But they're fun to watch.
But they are
They will
scrappy.
hit you, boy.
They will hit you, and you can't keep them down.
No.
They're going to fight and fight and fight, and they'll find ways to do it. They've given Oregon absolute hell over the last several years.
Yeah, and Oregon comes at number 15.
So that might be, your Pac-12 title game in this final iteration of the Pac-12, Utah, Oregon. But yeah, I look for Utah to make some noise, but I think this is the year that Oregon, that number 15 team, finally does win the Pac-12. I know everyone's expecting it to be USC, but I think this hype has been around Oregon for so long. At some point, they've got to capitalize on it.
Number 16 is Kansas State.
Well, that's cute, but you don't have Deuce Vaughn.
Exactly.
And look, they could have a very capable running back. Kansas State typically does. I don't think that Kansas State's better than TCU. And honestly, I don't even think they're as talented as Oklahoma.
No.
But they are well coached and they find ways to win.
Well, coaching is an important part of it. And number 17 is TCU.
TCU's missing a lot. Granted, they've got a lot there. Of course, being right outside Dallas helps their recruiting base. Like, they have a strong pool of talent to pull from. So, yeah, I expect TCU to be the runners-up in the Big 12.
So we have, we said 17 TCU. Number 18 is Oregon State. Number 19, Wisconsin. Number 20 is Oklahoma Sooners. But then you got North Carolina Tar Heels at number 21. Do you think the Tar Heels are better than these other teams right here?
Well, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, we made our projections who we thought was going to win each conference. And I told you, I believe it's the Tar Heels.
Which is why I asked that question.
I believe in Drake May.
Yep.
The whole May family has made, or at least these two brothers, Drake and Luke May, have made a legacy at North Carolina out of people doubting them, doubting the teams they're on, and then they just show up, they play ball, and they prove people wrong. That's what they do.
Number 22, Ole Miss.
Kind of weird, to be honest.
I didn't expect to see them on this list.
Honestly, I thought I would see Mississippi State up here before Ole Miss.
Me too. So I'm curious. What are your thoughts on this Ole Miss team?
People are saying that Jackson Dart is way ahead of where he was this time last year, which is reassuring. Ole Miss has the best running back in the SEC, in Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah.
We all know that. Can they get some good wide receiver play? Because their best wide receiver's gone to the NFL. Second round pick Jonathan Mingo of the Carolina Panthers. And I don't really trust what they got on defense.
Definitely not.
I've never trusted their defensive scheme. It didn't matter who the head coach was. Yeah. And I just expect it to be more of the same. I mean, 8-5 is possible. Or 9-4. But I think that's high end. That's ceiling.
You had Tulane in here, number 24.
Hey, Tulane had a hell of a year.
They did have 12-2.
And then they pulled off the upset over USC in the bowl game, which was incredible, especially because they were down big. Now, I don't think that's a sustainable level of success for Tulane. So I don't I'm not expecting them to finish the year in the top 25.
Oh, yeah.
But after the season they had last year, for them to be ranked in the top 25 coming into the next season, I think that's just a tip of the cap and respect for what that program achieved last season.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, then Iowa Hawkeyes round out the current top 25. But
I don't know why Iowa's here because, in order to win football games, you have to do that scoring points thing, and that was a thing that Iowa failed to do last season.
Yep. Again, way too early top 25, but some of it pretty solid. There's some other moving parts in there I think they'll have to take into consideration, but it still gets me excited about football that we have a top 25.
Every original top 25 poll that we've ever seen has never finished, but the last top 25 poll is never anything that resembles the original.
Oh, exactly. That's always the case. So much happens in the world of college football throughout the course of a season.
And you think we're, 2 weeks roughly away from college football, or 12 days away from college football?
That's right. I'm excited.
Legitimate, it counts college football.
Exactly. It's that time of year, folks.
I mean, we won't get any good games on that 26th, but we will have 2 top 25 teams. Notre Dame is playing Navy over in Dublin, Ireland. That's Saturday, August 26th at 1:30. And then that night, San Jose State is traveling down to LA to play USC at the Coliseum. USC favored by 30 points in that game.
Oof.
Notre Dame is favored by 20.
Damn.
But so there's 2 football games coming, college football. It's on the horizon. It's right there. We are, like I said, just 12 days away from that happening.
That's right.
A week from this Saturday. Look at it that way. A week from this Saturday, we will have college football that matters, that counts.
Exactly. Which I'm excited for. I can't wait. So, get ready, folks. Football season is upon us. It's here. You can smell it. You can see it. Love this time of the year. It's getting there.
So, Bijan Robinson will play his first NFL preseason snaps this Friday against the Bengals.
Ooh,
that was announced today.
I do want to see Bijan up there getting it done.
So, I just want to see how quickly he takes to the NFL level.
Yes.
Supposedly, by all accounts, out of training camp, he's been incredible. But, it's one thing to hear it in practice where guys aren't getting tackled to the ground and then put them in a live football situation.
That's right. No, that's very true. Very, very true. All right, we got anything else?
Man, I think that is good. Really it.
I mean, there's a lot of little topics out there and stuff that, we're probably won't cover, but still, pretty good stuff. We got to talk about football, folks. Pads are on now. Your favorite pro teams are getting some of these younger guys on the field. Who you got coming to fill some gaps of players who left out?
So here's something to talk about. I mean, he's not the player he once was, but it's still news and it still has to be discussed. Ezekiel Elliott is allegedly very close to signing a contract with the New England Patriots.
I hope he does.
A 1-year deal worth around $6 million.
I hope he does.
Plus his $6 million that he's getting from the company.
I wish Zeke would go up there and just ball out for him.
Me too.
Isn't it? Please go up there and ball out for him.
I think Zeke being back in cold weather benefits Zeke.
I think it does too. And because that hard-hitting sucker,
if he starts running behind his pads in that cold weather, dudes will not want to tackle him.
No, they will not. So I'm hoping he signs with the Patriots. I wish he would get up there and get it done.
I hope his career gets back on track.
I hope it does too. I just love it when guys I love prove naysayers wrong. It's always fun. And I hope this is one of those things for Zeke. I really do. I love that guy. All right, folks. We'll be back here next Monday. Hopefully. All things
should be.
If they go right, we will be back here Monday. Till then, you have a great week. We have a new show debuting tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah?
Called the Undefined Roundtable. 7 o'clock right here on Undefined Radio. Get ready. I got a special guest coming in. I want something special for this first one. Want to keep it local. Want to do something a little different, a little cool. So we're going to do that tomorrow night. I'll have more details tomorrow on Undefined Radio on the Facebook page. Get ready. Stay tuned. And Jason, I'll see you back here next week.